Happy Labor Day. As we set aside this day once a year to just relax and to enjoy ourselves and to rest from our labors, we have to have that rest. We require rest as human beings. We can't just continue to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have got to have a break. Our bodies can't perform. We need the rest. Today I want to look at just a few passages from Genesis on how God rested and what He says about rest. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1, we look at, and we all are familiar with the story of the creation. God showed His strength and His power and His control and His sovereignty all in 1 week through the days of creation. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, we see that He created the heavens and the earth. He created light. He separated the light from darkness and called it night and day. And He did all of this in just 1 day. We see in verses 6 through 8 that God divided the waters from the firmament, and He separated the heavens and the earth, and He divided the waters from it. And He did this on the second day. Verses 6 through 8 covers the second day of creation. And we take a little bit deeper of a look at the Hebrew text here, and the words that have derived, the two words that have derived from the Hebrew translation. We see that the first is rakia, which means to beat out or spread out thinly, and the second word is shemayim, and that means heaven. So He separated the heavens and the earth, and He divided the waters from them, and that was day 2. Verses 9 through 13, God gathered the waters into one place and made dry land. He called the dry land earth, and the waters He called seas. Then He made grass and trees. He did all of this on the third day. How amazing is that? You see how long it takes us to grow trees and things of that nature, but God did all of this on 1 day, and that was the third day. Verses 14 through 19, God made the solar system. He made the sun, the moon, and the stars. The sun to rule the day, the moon to rule the night. We have that source of light God has provided for us so that we're never in total darkness. Even at nighttime, we have that lesser light, the moon. And when the moon's not visible, you have the stars, you see the planets. And God did all of this in 1 day, and this was the fourth day. Verses 20 through 23, God made the fish and all of the other sea creatures. He also made birds, and He created them, and He said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the waters and fill the earth." And boy, how we love to see the animals as they appear in our yard, or they fly over our house, or when we're out in nature or at the beach or we're catching fish. God made all of this in 1 day, and this was the 5th day. And that brings us to the end of God's work week, the end of Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through the end of the chapter, verses 31. We see that God also made every creeping thing, cattle and beasts of the earth. So the earth is pretty much full now. We see that God has filled the oceans and told the fish and the sea creatures to be fruitful and multiply. We see He made the cattle and the beasts of the earth, told them to be fruitful and to multiply and to cover the land and to fill His creation. And He saved the best for last, in my opinion. Then He made in His very own image, He made man. And after He made man, He gave man dominion over all the earth and the things therein. So everything that He had previously created, all of the cattle and the beasts of the earth and the fish and the creeping things and the birds of the air and the earth itself, God gave to man, and gave man the responsibility and gave man dominion over all the earth and the things therein. God made us, God made mankind in His very own image. And He did this, He finished this in 1 day. And this was day 6. And God looked at what He had created, and He looked at all that He had made, and He was very pleased. And that brings us to day 7 of creation. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 2 says God rested. Don't misunderstand verse 2 though. God did not need to rest. God wasn't tired. He didn't feel weak from the week. The Bible doesn't say he needed to rest. It simply says that he did rest. The Hebrew word translated in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 2 includes other ideas than that of being tired. One main definition of the Hebrew word Shabbat is to cease or to stop. God stopped his work. He ceased creating on the 7th day. All that he had created was good and his work was finished. He didn't need to rest. He wasn't tired. He wasn't worn out. He wasn't overworked from his busy week. He was simply finished, and he ceased, and he rested. And that was the 7th day. Let's all review God's creation, the Genesis chapter 1. Sometimes I'm afraid we take it for granted, everything that God has created, and we just read it, and it's just a story, and it's a fascinating story, but we don't take time to really dive into it and get the details of what God actually did and how he spoke light and how he didn't have to raise a finger to do anything. The power that God shows in Genesis chapter 1 in his creation is just mind-boggling. It's hard to fathom. It's hard to comprehend. It's hard to wrap your brain around. And sometimes I think the more we read that story, the more it just is a story to us, and we think, and God made this, and God made that, and ho-hum, and ho-hum, and ho-hum. God made it. He said it. He spoke it. He breathed it. He created it. It is one of the most miraculous stories in the Bible, and the Bible begins in Genesis chapter 1 with that story. And it's just an awesome story. And so as you spend your Labor Day resting from your labors and taking a break from your work and your busy schedules and the things that consume you throughout the week, understand another point today, that God did all of his creating in 6 days and he rested on the 7th day. You and I, we work a full-time job. We have families. We just have obligations everywhere that we need to be at. And we get very tired. As we mentioned in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 2, God rested, but he didn't have to rest. He didn't rest because he was tired, right? He was just done. His work was complete. He ceased creating. He didn't need that rest. We need that rest. Every day, at the end of every day, we are wore out. We have got to go to bed. We have got to get some sleep. We have got to have our rest. And so understand, when you're going through troubled times, and you know as well as I do, 2020 and troubled times is all the same thing. Every day is a different challenge. Every day is a different problem. Every day is a different set of circumstances or guidelines that we have to go by. And 2020 is, I don't even know what to say about 2020 anymore. I ran out of words. I ran out of thoughts. I don't even know how to describe 2020 anymore, other than it's over, halfway over. Thank you, Lord. But we all have these problems. And understand, is at our weakest point, the time when we feel like we need to rest, the time when we feel like that we need to give up, the time that we feel we are so stressed out, know that God is there. God doesn't need to rest. He's not going to take a break from you. You're not going to bother him. He never goes on vacation. So when you're having problems, you're having trials, you're having unforeseen circumstances, whatever's going on in your life, know that you can turn those over to God because he is there. He doesn't need the rest. We do, and he will give us that rest if we turn our problems over to him. And if we're faithful unto the end, we will have that rest one day. We're not going to have the rest while we're here on earth in our daily lives. It's not going to happen. But stay the course, fight the fight, run the race, and when time is over, and your time is up here on earth, and my time is up here on earth, that rest will come. I hope this helps you in some way, as it helped me in my studies today. As difficult a year as it's been, I've told many of you how I felt like I was pretty patient at the onset of this pandemic, but as it has moved on into the months, um, I seem to have lost a little patience, and I ask for God's forgiveness for that. We're all going through it together, but understand that, as I had to understand, I have to turn that over to God. I can't handle that on my own, but He is there to help. He is there to listen. He doesn't go to sleep. He doesn't go on vacation. He doesn't need the rest. He is here. He is here for you. He is here for me. Again, I hope this helps you today. I hope you enjoyed your day off work. I hope you enjoy spending your day with your family. We're going to get through this year together, one way or another, whether it's through life, whether it's through death. If we have, again, finished our race and we stand before Jesus and He welcomes us home, we'll get that rest one day. Keep fighting, guys. Keep fighting. I love all of you. Hope to see you soon. God bless you.